But yeah, next up is our finals. It will be between PiLiPiLi and Voltz. It will be a PVZ. So we'll be getting started on that shortly. We do these every week. We'll be having I believe it will be number 6, Rival Weekly. Week 6 will be next week, next Friday at the same time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So how's streaming been going, Koshkii? How's that? I haven't seen you recently, but
it's I don't have a set streaming time. It's just kind of whenever I feel like it. But it has been going pretty well. We've been trying new things on stream. So a lot of new strategies starting to show. I've been doing more than 2 bases against Zerg lately. It feels very strange.
That is intense, man. That's a big step as a person.
It is a big step for me. Feels dirty when I don't 2-base all in.
I'm the other way. I feel dirty if I even make a DT shrine. It's like late game. I'm like, oh, DrennoC, what are you doing? Don't do this. And I'm like, come on, DrennoC, be a good Protoss and win games. And then the other side is like, no, we macro and get Colossus and Disruptors.
You can macro and get DTs.
No, you can't.
Go dirty. Dark Shrine.
We are now going to be loading into that best of 5. Actually, they're asking best of 5, best of 3. It is best of 5. Dang it, Feardragon. Mixing me up right there.
We'll be going shortly. Looks like all players are ready. And our first map is actually going to be Orbital Shipyard. So again, a pretty standard map. Pretty good for both Protoss and Zerg.
It is pretty good for both players. Of course, it has been the standard since, I guess, Legacy of the Void has been out. Orbital Shipyard has been that standard base. Now going a little bit out of meta. People like Prion Terraces and Dusk Towers. Let's see what happens. PiLiPiLi in the bottom left-hand corner. The green Protoss who loves his Link all-ins.
And his opponent in the top right, it is our red Zerg, Team Ascension's Voltz. So I'm curious what Pili has planned here on this map versus Voltz. Like you said, he really likes Blink Stalkers. And this is a pretty decent map for Blink Stalkers. There's a lot of room to get into the main base again. So wouldn't surprise me again to see that quick Twilight into Blink.
And don't anyone fool yourselves. He's going Blink. Just, don't even try to convince yourself he's not going Blink. Which, taking that quick natural in the third base position for Voltz could prove potentially fatal with a big Blink play taking that out if he gets that early. However, either way, you can have both bases pretty darn early as a Zerg player on Orbital Shipyard. I think the biggest thing to note is purely that, we always see Blink play out of PiLiPiLi. That's a given. Then he moves into his DT Shrine drops, which on a map like this, easily you can get into their natural and drop in it. And that forces them, they have to go through their third, their main, and then into their natural. Even though it's easy to get to them, you still have to go through every single base to get back home. It's a lot farther from your third to your natural to be able to defend it easily. So we could see that mid to late game push from PiLiPiLi be quite devastating.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see that. And just as you said, just see it everywhere at every base and just causing a lot of problems. But so far, pretty standard stuff again from Pili. He went for that Nexus first, not getting gates into Cybercore. I would not at all be surprised to see a Twilight Council right when that Cybercore finishes. And Voltz, I was going to say, have you casted much of Voltz? I'm curious as to his typical ZVP style.
I casted a lot of Voltz and I can't remember any of it. I know I've casted Voltz, though. I've done a lot of Voltz on my YouTube channel before. If you look up DrennoC, I casted a whole bunch of him because he was very kind to me when I first started, and just gave me like 100 replays of him playing different random ladder games. And this is what I got. I can't remember any of it. It was too long ago, like 6 months ago. But
2 Adepts now being chronoed out here for PiLiPiLi. Going to be flying those bases. If they can't get too much damage done, they do get one important thing finished, and that is scouting. Scouting will be very important. And Adepts are pretty good with that, even with just the shades.
Adepts on this map, you know what? I like them as a army composition, but in the early game, putting pressure on your opponent, they're kind of hard because you do commit to each base, and Dusk Towers and Prion Terraces are 2 maps where every base you get into your main, into their natural, you're farther into their bases. You have to go through their bases to get out of it because of the nature of how they're lined up. So I like Adepts, but every time you get into the next base, you're just that much farther and deeper within. Yet then again, Adepts can just shade and be like, screw you. So, no, we'll see. For now, the Adepts are not going to be able to get damage done. Lings that are 6 or actually 8 Lings in the main will be able to hold them off, while 4 Queens in the third. Man, Voltz is really prepared.
Yeah, these Adepts not going to get that much done there. But now, another Nexus being taken from PiLiPiLi, so a faster third base here, and it's not too hard for him to defend this. Pylons do a great job, actually, when it comes to defense. Overcharges can really shut down a lot of Ling pressure. Ravagers can take out Pylons with their Bile pretty easy, but that's definitely not a concern at the moment. Got a layer now on the way for Voltz. It looks like behind this for PiLiPiLi are 2 Stargates, so we're going to see a lot of airplay here for PiLiPiLi.
This is something I saw PiLiPiLi do a lot on, especially Dusk Towers, but also on Orbital Shipyard. Pretty much the same map anyways, but I've seen him do this a lot on it. And what's funny about it is I've seen him go Mass Phoenix, and I've seen him go Mass Void Ray in PvZ. He likes doing both. He likes going heavy Phoenix, mixing in 1 or 2 Void Rays to start cleaning up Overlords kind of counterintuitively, but he does that a lot, and I'm excited to see how he's going to play this out. It will be Mass of Phoenix, and I assume maybe some Charge Lots mixed in there.
Yeah, more Adepts, though, being made. We haven't seen a Twilight Council yet, I believe. But speed coming out also for Voltz, as well as missile attack, so might see... Does he have a Roach Warren yet? I don't think so, so maybe... I'm curious to see what he'll be using that missile attacks for. Maybe Hydra. Especially, yeah, there goes the Hydra Den. And with that, with those 2 Stargates.
Oh, and take a relatively quick 4th now. Does he scout the 2 Stargates? He's not seen both Stargates, and this is honestly a build with the Lurkers that it could be a, I don't want to say completely Lurker rush, but it could be a quick Lurker thing to defend Blink Stalkers, which is always good. But now that he knows, okay, cool, it is Phoenixes, of course, so he knew it a little while ago with them going after the Overlord. I take back what I was saying. But he now knows that he can go Hydras verse them, and he's going to pretty much go Ling Hydra for the majority of the game. The Adepts cut in a little bit of a wonky position with the Queens, and the Lings shutting them down, allowing the Queens to focus them down. I'm not sure if any of these Adepts are actually going to be able to survive to blink up into the main. There they are into the blink. There's only 1 Queen here. A couple Lings are going to have to reroute themselves, but I think pretty much Voltz is going to take overall a good engagement here. Completely takes out the Adepts. He needs to put on some pressure to PiLiPiLi now. PiLiPiLi is nothing. That is nothing at his third.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi's been making a lot of Phoenixes, and they're just kind of flying around the map. Although what PiLiPiLi does have at his third are Pylons. So, Voltz is going to have to be a little bit careful, so as to not just get everything destroyed by Pylons if an overcharge does go off. Some drones, though, being taken out as they are transferred from the 4th to the 3rd. Some more Overlords being taken down from these Phoenixes as well. This is a huge pain for a Zerg player.
Oh, it is incredibly huge, especially with Voltz taking a relatively quick 4th in Legacy of the Void in general. It's a little bit dicey, and you can even see Desperation Spores coming out of Voltz right now with the drones being transferred. Doesn't even have anything to take out the rocks, and you've got the Lings in the middle of the map, which I would love to see go for some pressure, put some pressure on PiLiPiLi, and maybe make him make a mistake. He can A-move the Lings, he can't A-move Phoenixes.
Yeah, the Phoenixes are going to have to be watched here by PiLiPiLi quite a bit. But Hydras are being taken out, more Queens being killed as well. These Phoenixes getting a lot of damage in. They're definitely showing their worth here.
Finally, the rocks are down and the Hydras can reinforce. There needs to be a little bit of a creep spread between the third base and the fourth. Hydras do also have muscular augments, which is, of course, is plus range and plus speed, so they're going to be all right for now.
And a Lurker Den it is being made now for Voltz, so Lurkers are going to come out sooner than later. And that could really hurt Pili right now. Pili, I don't think he's, he doesn't have too much to help deal with the Lurkers at the moment. Although Phoenixes, especially if there's detection on the map, could just kind of lift some of those up and
they could, but really the Lurkers, they're going to be with Hydras the entire time. We'll see how that pans out. I do really enjoy Lurkers on this map because, obviously, if you just don't think about Warp Prisms, we're not going to take that into account right now. Generally, the Overlord is going to, the army of Voltz completely out of position, but generally, you have two ways into your third base, which then allows into your natural and your main, so there's a lot of choke points for Lurkers to be able to shut them down. However, at this point, the Hydras cannot get a good angle on any of these Phoenixes. In total, there's 10 Phoenixes there wreaking havoc. There's almost not even enough Hydras to face them 1v1.
Yeah, and now with that damage that the Phoenixes have done, Voltz is actually supply blocked. He is at 159 out of 160, so that was a huge amount of damage. We've got 8 Overlords, 11 Overlords being morphed right now. That is a lot of larvae that could have been used for something else.
Definitely 11 in total, as you just said. That is a horrendous amount. And we do have a nice creep spread going for Voltz, but he still has been relatively unable to do damage. Lurkers are morphing in. It's going to be about 18 seconds off till he can start pushing into the fourth base of PiLiPiLi. But for now, PiLiPiLi is in a phenomenal position. Phoenixes are doing damage. I'd love to see a Warp Prism out on the map to start doing drops, and Voltz is prepared for that at his fourth base, or pardon me, his natural base or his third, whichever one you want to call it in terms of when he was putting spores up and stuff. But for now, Voltz moving in. PiLiPiLi has Zealot, Charge Lot, and Feardragon. Even before this was commenting on how, whoa, Lurkers destroy Charge Lot Archon. But evidently not. Although when they are piled on top of each other, they can do a decent amount. We'll see how this pans out.
Yeah, the Lurkers, they are starting to get a little bit of damage done. Nice storm there on the other Lurkers. Charge Lot's moving in, but these Lurkers, the Phoenixes are picking up the Lurkers now. Charge Lot's just destroying the Lings. And PiLiPiLi looking pretty good now in this engagement.
Lurkers getting picked up, and now the Lurkers do have to flee. The Phoenixes don't have that many more pickups. I take that back. A couple of the Phoenixes still do have pickups. These Lurkers are hightailing it on out of there. A couple Lurkers do burrow down, but the Observer, pardon me, there's no Observer at the moment. The Observer's a little bit falling back. Now the Observer will be able to pick him up, but what do we have reinforcing off the back of this for Voltz? There is no bank to make a horrendous amount of Lings. There's 5 Hydras, 14 Lings, and it's going to get good for Voltz, but PiLiPiLi is playing so strongly. He killed 14 workers early on. As you said, he forced out, 15-odd Overlords, 11 at one point, even more than that over the course of the game. And now all the script spread is getting cleaned up. Everything that Voltz has worked towards is getting decimated.
Voltz knows he is in pretty big trouble. He's getting 30 Lings. He's morphing in a few Lurkers as well. But Lings, they are just going to get decimated with this army composition.
Lurkers are already in a nice position, a little bit more spread out, so these Zealots cannot just charge straight on top of them. They have to move to another one, but the Phoenix is nullifying a majority of these Lurkers. We only have, how many Lurkers currently out on the ground? We only have 1 or 2 of them actually burrowed that will be doing damage, and the Hydras is landing straight on top of Storms. The Hydras need to be focusing down these Immortals. Drones were pulled in that fight, though, and now 34 drones have been killed. PiLiPiLi takes one with relative ease.
Those Phoenixes in that game were MVPs. They did so much damage to Voltz just by killing off Overlords, killing off Queens, got a lot of drone kills as well, and they were super annoying.
That was game 1, though, in a best of 5. There's still 4 games to go. If we can see Voltz take 2 games off PiLiPiLi to even it up somehow, but right now it's only 1-0. PiLiPiLi, though, feeling confident, looking good. Voltz not feeling confident. Looking decent. I'm worried for Voltz right here. He may just go down the drain because he doesn't even believe in himself. And I don't say that jokingly, dead serious.
Voltz, though, do you think we might see some more cheesy play out of him? Do you think that might be a possibility?
What type of cheesy play would you be looking for in that? Because an early pool build, I think, is just going to get decimated.
Yeah, if you think of a 12 pool, I do have a feeling that PiLiPiLi could take care of that pretty quick.
I think maybe if he does something really weird, like just a 2-base Muta, something of the sort, but then if PiLiPiLi decides to go Stargate, odds of basically all the builds we've seen out of PiLiPiLi is Stargate or Blink, so Muta's not going to be super strong. I guess the one thing he could do is like a Roach Rush, just a big Roach all-in.